So you'd really have to be under a rock if you didn't know that the Catholic Church has been losing members for a number of decades. And a subtext of that is the number of young people who either have left the church or are not coming into the church, etc. There was an article in Crux magazine where they went to the young people and said, why don't you go to church on Sundays? And they said, well, if they would just listen to us, and they don't understand us, and the bishops never bring us into the conversation, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I get it. There's also a part of me that say, okay, if we ask you, if we give you the invitation and bring you in, and we start asking the questions, et cetera, then what? You're going to come? I'm not so sure. I think it's the reasons are much more complex. In the Wall Street Journal, there was an article about the great Catholic Poland and how the young people in this former overwhelmingly Catholic country are leaving the Catholic Church in droves. And so in the midst of that, a parishioner of mine gave me a New York Times article written by a woman who writes typically for First Things magazine. First Things, Catholic publication, fairly highbrow intellectually. But in this New York Times article, she talks about a group of hipsters in an area of New York City, Lower East Side Manhattan, called Dime Square, like the coin. And she says there is a group of young people who are meeting together and are embracing the Catholic Church or aspects of the Catholic Church. But as she says in the article, this isn't your grandma's Catholic Church. And she gives it an example. There's one young lady who said, well, I was basically raised by Satanists. And I was a typical teenager. I'm growing up and I'm rebelling, and I don't like my parents, and I don't like what they're doing with me and to me, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, I'm going to do something that's really going to make them mad. I'm going to start saying the rosary. That'll get them. And so this satanic woman is saying the rosary, and then she says, you want to know something? The more I said it, the more I thought, boy, there is something to this. And what is happening to a lot of these people is they're doing something called routinization. They're taking aspects of the Catholic Church, and it becomes part of their routine. It might be going to church. It might be praying. It might be what do I do about temptations in life? What about the spiritual reading? But doing always on a regular basis, and so they're subconsciously entering into the rites and rituals of the Catholic Church, and as they insert themselves into this, surprise, surprise, something's happening. Now we know it as the Holy Spirit, but this is a whole new phenomenon for them. As I have thought about where St. Monica is going to go in the future, one of the things is that I've been hearing people talk to me about phenomenon like this. And what I've been saying is, pay attention to that. There's something there. And more, these are not outliers. More and more, these are the kind of articles, blogs, Twitters, experiences that people are bringing me, or that they're having themselves, or they're pointing out to it and saying, what do you think about this, Father? And I say, well, pay attention to it. I think this Holy Spirit is moving in ways that are rather unusual. And the question that I think is, what happens if or when that happens here at St. Monica? Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing?